Welcome to Miami Flying Club, Ground Training Series. Today, Basic Aerodynamics. Aerodynamic terms. An airfoil is a structure or body which produces a useful reaction to air movement, is a specially shaped surface designed to produce aerodynamic lift as air flow over it. For an airfoil to produce lift, the wind must strike it at an angle, called the angle of attack. Airplane wings, propellers, and helicopters' rotor blades are airfoils. The chord line is an imaginary straight line, from the leading edge to the trailing edge of an airfoil. Changing the shape of an airfoil, by lowering flaps for sample, will change the chord line. In aerodynamics, relative wind is the wind felt by an airfoil. It is created by the movement of air past an airfoil, by the motion of airfoil through the air, or by a combination of the two. Relative wind is parallel and in the opposite direction to the flight path of the airfoil. The angle of attack is the angle between the chord line of the airfoil and the relative wind. By manipulating the aircraft control, the pilot can vary the angle of attack. The angle of incidence is the angle at which a wing is attached to the aircraft fuselage. Axes of rotation and the forces acting in flight. The aircraft have three axes of rotation: the lateral axis, longitudinal axis and the vertical axis. The lateral axis is an imaginary line from wing tip to wing tip for an airplane. The rotation around this axis is called pitch. Pitch is controlled by the elevator, and this rotation is referred to as longitudinal control or longitudinal stability. The longitudinal axis is an imaginary line from the nose to the tail. Rotation around the longitudinal axis is called roll. Roll is controlled by the ailerons, and this rotation is referred to as lateral control or lateral stability. The vertical axis is an imaginary line, extending vertically through the intersection of the lateral and longitudinal axes. Rotation about the vertical axis is called yaw. Yaw is controlled by the rudder, and this rotation is referred to as directional control or directional stability. Center of gravity, the imaginary point where all the weight is concentrated, is the point at which an airplane would balance, if it were suspended at that point. The three axes intersect at the center of gravity. Four aerodynamic forces, acting on an airplane during all flight maneuvers: lift, weight, thrust, and drag. Lift is the result of a pressure difference between the top and the bottom of the wing. A wing is designed to accelerate air over the top camber of the wing, thereby decreasing the pressure on the top and producing lift. Several factors involved in the creation of lift: angle of attack, wing area and shape, air velocity, and air density. All of these factors have an effect on the amount of lift produced at any given moment. Weight is the force with which gravity attracts all bodies vertically toward the center of the Earth. Thrust is the forward force which is produced by the propeller acting as an airfoil to displace a large mass of air to rear. Drag is a rearward acting force which resists the forward movement of an airplane through the air. Drag may be classified into two main types: parasite drag and induced drag. Parasite drag is the resistance of the air produced by any part of the airplane that no produce lift, antenna, landing gear. Parasite drag will increase as airspeed increases. Induced drag is byproduct of lift. Drag is induced as the wing develops lift.